What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we get to talk about a massive amount of layoffs yet again, back-to-back days, and it is starting to get more and more depressing. I actually am going to be working on a video that'll go after this. This will be the first of the day. Got another one after, and kind of want to talk about the state of the industry, where it's going. And this really, yeah, you had Xbox do their thing with 1,900 people. You had PlayStation do their thing with 900. And now EA, I believe, 670 people, 5% of their workforce. I think it's a smaller percentage, I guess, than Sony. So if you're looking for some sort of good news, no, it's terrible. It's terrible. And I got to be real. In terms of this one, this probably makes me more depressed and that's rough because it's less people actually than what we just had from PlayStation and Xbox. But the messaging of where EA is going and what they're doing is depressing, very much so. Like, I read it and I had to tweet, like, it's really bad. And I'm not trying to clickbait or, I tend to over-exaggerate from time to time. Not doing it here. It's easily the worst messaging of, like, where EA is going. Worst of all the companies that we've had so far, except for maybe Embracer, that we know is just the entire building's on fire. They don't know what they're doing. All right. So let's read out kind of the key details. There's been some news, kind of some confirmations of games that have been canceled. That's phenomenal. And so I want to get to all that, but I want to read why I'm so kind of upset at the letter that they had. Okay, so it's actually this middle paragraph. I'm going to skip the rest of it. It's a lot of fluff, but as a company full of creators and storytellers, we believe in the value of teams innovating together and continue to learn and adopt new ways of collaborating to grow and serve our global communities. Given how and where we are working, we are continuing to optimize our global real estate footprint to best support our business. We're also sunsetting games and moving away from development of future licensed IP that we do not believe will be successful in our changing industry. This greater focus allows us to drive creativity, accelerate innovation, and double down on our biggest opportunities, including our owned IP, sports, and massive online communities to deliver the entertainment players want today and tomorrow. Lastly, we are streamlining our company operations to deliver deeper, more connected experiences for fans everywhere that build community, shape culture, and grow fandom. I'm serious. I hate that paragraph. It's always been this way with EA. EA is actually a group of pretty talented people. I think there's a lot of talent there, and granted, like, your own things. Like, they want to make their own things, their own IP. You don't get franchises, like when I think of franchises that stand out to me, right, some of my favorites, they started somewhere. You have to have new ones in order for them to kind of be like engraved in our culture and engraved in like our hearts and our souls. I truly believe that. So I understand that part, at least. They want to make their own games, rely less, in fact, rely not at all on licensed IP. I want to talk about that, though, once, this video keeps going. I get that to an extent, but they've always had a freaking management. I really feel like EA, remember, EA was the one that said that single-player games were dying, right? Like, their analytics, what they saw going on in the gaming industry was that single-player games were dead and dying. And is that true? Not even close. Now, maybe like the most recent kind of things that we've seen in the industry, obviously companies want to go more towards live service, go more towards multiplayer, but single-player games are far from dead. In fact, I do believe we are, and again, this is what I'll talk about probably in the next video, we're in the middle of a shift in gaming, and I think we're going to get back to those single-player games, those like 5 to 10 hour things. I think that's the future. I really don't think what's going on right now is going to last all that much longer. And when I say that, I mean maybe like 2, 4, 5 years, somewhere in that range. It just can't. So we'll talk about that later, but all right, in terms of the news, the actual kind of confirmation. So IGN ran a thing, and I think it has been confirmed. So remember we talked about just maybe like a week and a half ago, the rumor of the Mandalorian first-person shooter game from Respawn? Well, the people that didn't want it, good for you, the game's canceled. So you get your wish, the people that didn't want the first-person game. So that's gone. That's terrible because unlike those people, and that's fine. Honestly, respect to, if you didn't want it, you didn't want it. I have no big like issue with that or anything. There's plenty of other games out there. I did want it. I did. So like having that be canceled, that's disappointing. Another thing, I guess, is now remember, like, the Battlefield teams are kind of all over the place. I don't know too much about it, but I do read like Tom Henderson stories, so I know, I guess, enough. There's still going to be, it seems, single player in the next mainline installment Battlefield game, but there was also a studio created to do single player Battlefield stuff that was kind of separate. That studio's been closed. So they closed the studio, canceled the first person Mandalorian game, and the thing that scares me beyond anything else is the thing about leaving these licensed IPs. Now, here's the deal. I get it. I hate it, though. Why do I get it? Well, as we actually saw, and I mean, if we didn't see this, I probably would get it significantly less. When the Insomniac hack happened, and terrible situation to happen, I feel bad for like the employees, right? All their info. That was like the really bad part about it. But some of the business practice stuff that we got from that leak is really, I think it's really like influential, or it's just good, like knowledge. It's very knowledgeable to know that stuff. So one thing we got is how freaking expensive these deals are. The deal to do, say, like a Spider-Man, or the deal to do Marvel, or the deal to, whatever, Star Wars, could cost hundreds of millions of dollars, which is just more copies you have to sell before you even break even, right? Because you have to factor that in. So whether you want to add that to like the development costs, or whether, again, you just want to say, all right, well, the game needs like $4 million, but because it's an IP, a licensed IP, now it needs to do like $5 to $6 million to make that up, because it costs that enormous, amount. So I do get it. The scary thing is, of course, EA is actually pretty deep in that stuff. So you get out of one thing because you cancel the first-person Mandalorian game. Now, I do believe they've confirmed, EA specifically, they've confirmed that the Jedi series is continuing. So we know they're doing the third game. I got to be real. After that third game, say goodbye. Well, maybe don't say goodbye to Cal Kestis specifically, but say goodbye, I think, to the Jedi series in terms of video games. It's possible that I am not right on that, considering, and I will say, to be a devil's advocate against myself, they say, right, if they don't think it's going to like change their lives, if they don't think it's really going to contribute to the success of their company, they're done with it. Maybe Jedi can do it. You know what I mean? So it is, I guess, possible, but the way they talk, I think Jedi is done. I think Star Wars. So if you wanted Battlefront 3 from them, which I thought could happen one day, that's not happening. So you can cut that out right away. Jedi's continuing. And then when, we talk about Marvel, Iron Man, right? So Motive, the ones who did the Dead Space remake, phenomenal studio, phenomenal game. They're doing the Iron Man game. It's like, oh dear God, are they okay? It seems like that's okay. And that Black Panther game. Remember, there's the Amy Hennig Black Panther Captain America game. That game's separate, but EA is doing just a Black Panther, kind of like an open world-ish thing. That game's okay too. But the way they talk about it, sunsetting, right? So that means like letting it kind of go to completion and then being done. So that's, honestly, that word sunsetting is why I believe Jedi is done after 3. They'll let them do it because they do make money off of it. They'll let them do it, and then that might be it. And then when it goes to, the Marvel stuff, I think they'll finish what they have, what they, have already started, and then that's it. And then, you're not going to get more Marvel. So, that actually hurts future Marvel things because it's like, they need to bring down the costs, or I guess we're not. And I actually genuinely mean this. This isn't over-exaggerating either. They either need to bring down the costs, or they're done. You're still going to maybe get Marvel games here and there, but it's going to be a whole lot less. And because, you think about like a Midnight Suns, right? Like that game didn't perform well. It probably didn't perform well without the licensing costs. And then you also have the licensing costs. So I don't know, like if and I guess how I'm thinking about it, if EA is pulling out, and if Sony, like as we've seen with the deals with X-Men and Wolverine and all that stuff, it's so expensive. If you have one of those games that fail, you're screwed. And if you want to buy yourself out of that contract, you're also screwed. Because I believe the buyout cost is like $200 to $300 million to get out of that deal, Sony's deal. So, what in God's name is happening, right? That's a really tragic kind of thing that Marvel, I guess, makes companies do. So, I don't know. Again, I get it because, like, it actually makes no sense to do it. Honestly, like, it really does. You might as well actually make your own games. I get it because it's, established things, and you can make Iron Man, right, is going to carry some weight that you'd have to, like, really promote. Say, if it's a brand new game, you'd have to do that extra legwork. I understand it, but the risk at this point is outweighing the reward. Hence, studios like EA pulling completely out of it. The final thing that I hate about it, let me just read one part of this again, right? So including our owned IP, sports, and massive online communities. So 2 of those 3 are not good. Now, okay, it's a personal preference with the online thing. What that means, though, is live service and multiplayer, right? So you can like online games, you can like multiplayer games. I think that is a very scary concept. I think that's a very scary middle sentence, in that paragraph, because they're doubling down on it. Sports games are one of the biggest atrocities in gaming, period. Like, Embracer Group's pretty bad. You got some companies that get away with some atrocious behavior. The sports community and what they do to their fans year over year is some of the worst things you could ever imagine. So why you would, I again get it, because these fools, these players, they give them $1 billion on Madden every year and $1 billion on FIFA every year. They do it to themselves. If Madden started to make $200 million instead of $1 billion a year, you can bet your bottom dollar they would radically change it and it would be better. I 100% guarantee that. But people, for whatever reason, don't care, and they just want to get absolutely destroyed every year in these sports games. So whatever, I guess. But that scares me. Personally, it scares me because, I don't know, can they make good IPs? They absolutely can. And, using Star Wars as an example and just, follow me through here, you had to make something original. Now, yeah, they used that great period between, episode 3 and 4, right? There's kind of periods that are, gold mines almost for Star Wars. Sure, they used it. Yeah, they got characters that you recognize, like Vader and whatnot, but they made Cal Kestis. They made that story. They made the gameplay style that's really, really clever and really, really good. They can do it. These studios, again, this is why it goes back to the first couple minutes of this video. I think EA is talented. There's a lot of talented people there. There's a lot of talented teams in there. They get stuck making sports games that they only get 9 months to work on, and then they have to release them, and they have to do it again the next year for another 9 months. That's the problem. It's not the actual people. I think they're actually quite creative, and I think they're actually good, but they're forced into a terrible situation. Going triple downing or double downing on multiplayer and live service, eventually that's going to burst. And I can't believe that, they're doing all of these things to course correct, and they don't see that live service also is not exactly safe to double down into. I mean, it's going to keep getting worse, I think. I got one other thing I guess I want to throw in before I forget it. Again, rumor-wise and maybe even confirmation-wise, it seems like BioWare is okay. They're doing Mass Effect still. They're doing Dragon Age very heavily right now. So it seems like that's fine. So, some games I'm looking for. I mean, really, it hasn't really been impacted right now. You lose the Mando first-person shooter, that really sucks. You lose 670 people, that really sucks. I kind of glossed over that, and I'm sorry about that. I mean, we have talked about over the last few days. Terrible. These people continue to go into a pool of more people that are looking for jobs, the same kind of jobs, right? So that really sucks, and I don't know why we have to do this daily. Literally, it's just every day now. People exaggerate. Really, there's been so many layoffs in the last year and a half, that's not exaggerated, but the people that say, every day there's a layoff, I don't really think that's true. It actually is true this week. For whatever freaking reason, every day this week has just been terrible for layoffs, so don't want to gloss over that completely. I do feel bad for them, but I also, am worried, again, about, the future of EA, because they know that there's problems, and they know they need to kind of maneuver, and I feel like their maneuver strategy, some of it is fine, some of it is understandable in terms of losing those IPs. I mean, I get it. I'm disappointed and I'm sad, but I do understand it. But then doubling down on sports and doubling down on live service, though, I mean, I guess doubling down on sports is smart because, again, it's the quality that's terrible. It's the quality that I'm upset about. In terms of, money and safety for them, yeah, that's actually the most safe because, for whatever reason, people just don't stop giving them money for those things. Live service is a bubble that will burst, right? So that one is a dangerous thing to double down on. That could have severe actual consequences. The sports community is, I guess, just too brain dead to stop supporting this stuff. And by the way, some of it's just joking. I got NHL games for 12 years in a row. Okay, I stopped the last couple of years, but I got NHL games 12 years in a row, played all of them. I actually like more than I don't like, but when it comes to the Ultimate Team stuff, the most I spent $20 the first NHL game I ever got. Never spent a dime after, the initial purchase after that. So I guess I used to be one of the people that would support, these sports games. I'm really talking about the sports fans that buy it and sink like $700 into the Ultimate Team. Those are the people that let EA get away with this stuff. Not necessarily even the people that buy Madden. They make more money on Ultimate Team than they could ever imagine on base sales, and same thing for FIFA. So just in case people are going to get really offended, I'm only going after people that spend way too much money on the Ultimate Team stuff. That's who I'm mad at. All right, that's it for this video. Like I said, next up in the video, list, a couple hours from now, we'll talk about the state of the industry. All right, thank you for watching, and hope to see you all on the next one.